Hey guys, I'm back. You're probably wondering why I'm back after that whole like dramatic post of entering 2025 and me being like, "Oh, this is going to be my social media death, my last post forever." If you guys know, for those that want to reach me, you know how to reach me, blah 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 blah. To be honest, I enjoyed it very much. It's been like 9 months since I released that post in the either Jan 1st or December 31st. It's been 9 months and I've been loving it. Like no more doom scrolling, like saving conversations for actual catch ups when I see people who I haven't seen in a long time. Because before you'd know what people were doing, right? Like you'd be like, yeah, I saw your story, blah 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 blah. But now when I see people for the past few months, it's like, hey, like what's up? Like what have you been up to? Like oh my gosh, you've been here, you've been there. Tell me more. And it's been great, right? Okay, so why am I back? Um, I believe that there's two types of modes in a person. There's people who just consume, where for their whole lives they're just taking in stuff, right? Enjoying, experiencing, doing things that make them happy, just getting, receiving, consuming. And then there's people that kind of make a shift into creating. Creating what? I'm not talking about like shallow level creating. I'm talking about creating things with the intention to change the world around you for good. Now, whatever you think that definition is, what's important is you're putting that intention in wanting to do good, right? Creating things that do good. And I thought I was doing that before, kind of. Like in 2020, I did the whole streaming thing. I was putting content out. I was streaming during the pandemic because I was like, I love video games. Everybody knows that if you find something that you love to do and you do it for work, you'll never work a day in your life. That's what I thought. That's what I was kind of going after. And when I did it, it just kind of, thank God, like nothing ever came, out of it, like nothing stable because, to be honest, I was doing it just for myself. Like I wanted to make money. I wanted to play video games for a living. Like that was not my calling. Nothing against that, right? People do that. They have their calling, but that wasn't my calling. And that's why it just fell through because there were no legs. At one point I was like, yeah, whatever. But now I believe that this burden has been placed in my heart to to do what I'm starting now with this first video, which is to start episodes, podcasts about Jesus, about God, about my faith. And in the beginning, it's going to be more towards like how you can discover God. And the reason is this, right? Like some of you guys know, like especially my close friends, that I gave my life to Jesus. I became a Christian. And I hope that those friends that have known me since I moved to the Philippines in '09 have seen the difference in who I was to who I am today, right? I used to live a selfish life. I tried not to step on people's toes, but I inevitably you end up stepping on people's toes if you live a selfish life, and that's who I was. I did my own thing. I led my own life. Like I wanted to do things according to my rules, what I believed was right, what I believed was wrong. I stayed away from. And I lived according to how I thought I should live my life. Because, what the world tells you is like, who better else to know, like, how you should live your life but yourself. And that's what I did. But the truth is, at the end of that, I felt and ended up just being so alone, so sad, so empty, with no purpose, with nothing to show. Career as an artista was going nowhere. And I just hit rock bottom. Like I was so depressed. And what's crazy, by the way, like side note, I thank God I never tried to take my own life, but I understand how people who do commit suicide, how when people do commit suicide, they say, I never knew. I totally saw how like that was possible because I was like that. I was so miserable. I was so sad. I was so empty. Couldn't sleep. But if you saw me out in public, I was like, dude, what's up, bro? Like, what's going on, man? Like, yeah, how are you? How are you? How's everything? Like, but inside, I was dead. So again, I thank God I never got to a point where I wanted to hurt myself, but I could do a really good job in showing that everything was okay. Anyways, at some point, I was honest with myself and I said, look, I'm not doing well and something needs to happen. And I thank God that one thing that never left me was, I think, the ability of mine to be honest with myself. And so at some point, like I mentioned, I was like, okay, look, I'm super depressed. My career is not going anywhere. I'm anxious. I'm lonely. I know I've lived such a bad life, like a bad life morally. What do I do? So at that point, I told myself, okay, I want to know for a fact what the truth is about life in regards to, is there a God? Is there no God? Because one thing I didn't agree with is people being like, oh, that's your truth. That's my truth. Let's just live in this like perfect world where our realities can coexist. To a certain extent, that's true. But what I couldn't wrap my head around is that there are like two things that contradict each other, can't exist at the same time. So is there a God? Is there not a God? That was my mindset. I was like, I'm not going to go with what I was raised to believe. I'm not going to go with what I was ingrained and like brainwashed to believe my whole life. I want to know for myself if there is a God or not. That was my mindset. And so I'm not going to go into the details as to how I ended up where I am. That's for another episode. But the train of thought that I had there was, okay, I'm going to study things outside the Bible. I'm going to study and see for myself if Jesus actually existed. And what I found was he did. He actually walked this earth. He's an actual historical figure, just like the others that we learn about in history. He actually was noted to be someone who literally walked this earth. Now, the next question there is this. I was like, did he actually rise from the dead? Because it's one thing for someone to like actually exist, but was what he was preaching credible? And the only thing that made him credible was if he actually rose from the dead. So that's what I wanted to find out. And based on what I was digging, based on what I was finding out, being truthful with myself, the evidence suggested, based on me looking, not based on what religious leaders tell me, based on what I found, the evidence suggested, and it became increasingly clear that Jesus actually rose from the dead. And that's kind of what led me to surrendering my life to Jesus and giving my life to Jesus and being like, look, all right, if I know where I'm going to end up at based on my own wisdom, based on my own ways and deciding for what's best for me, I know where that's ending up. So if there was to be someone that will know my purpose, that will know what's best for me, then would that not be God? And in that moment, that's where I decided that Jesus was God based on what I discovered. So I became a Christian, gave my life to him. And what I hope to share with you guys is the evidence of that truth in my life. Again, my life now, based on after following him, is so full of joy and purpose compared to me before. I have a awesome, beautiful wife, Ban. We have an awesome, funny boy, Danelle, who just turned 1 a couple of months ago. And, it's like the best time ever. And I know that I don't have what I have now because of my wisdom, my understanding, like my way, my choices. No, like I know that it's because at some point I said, look, I can't do this on my own. Lord, you tell me you love me. You tell me that you have a plan for me. Let's do it. I want to see. And so I started basing my decisions, my lifestyle, my choices, my values on what he told me, what he tells me in the Bible. And this is where I'm at now. Now, my goal is to not try and convince you and like debate with you and be like, this is the way, you got to believe it blindly. No, because that's not how I came to know Christ. I'm here. My goal for this channel is to kind of just show what I did, where I looked, how I went about it, what my experiences were and are. And hopefully in doing that, you see that God also has a plan for you. Like I one of the things that got me depressed was believing before that everything came into existence by chance. Like everything's a product of evolution by chance. We all evolved from the slime. And the problem with that is that it cheapens life. Because it's just chance that we're here. But in the Bible, God tells us that we're fearfully and wonderfully made. He made us in His image, which means that He has a purpose for us. He had intention in creating us. We're not just here to just exist and consume. We're here to create, be like Him, help others, love others. We all have a unique purpose in this life. And that's why I'm doing this video. If I was to be selfish and to just consume and mind my own business, I would just be playing Black Myth Wukong, PS5 on 4K, hanging out with my wife and kid, just doing my own thing. But no, here I am. Why? Because I'm convicted to share with you guys and to share with people who've lost hope like I once have, that God has a purpose for you. Right? And I hope that in this journey that I'm about to embark on, you guys find the truth, not a truth that suits you, a truth that suits me. It's the truth. Is there a God? Is there not a God? Is Jesus the way? Is He not the way? And I'm here to share with you guys that He is the way. So I pray that as you join me in this journey of mine, you come with an open heart, an open mind, and just be intellectually honest with yourself. The truth will hurt, right? But having the truth that hurts is better than living with a lie that makes you happy, right? So I love you guys. I hope and I pray that someone along the lines will find Jesus like I did. If I do this for 50 years and only just one person converts, that's more than enough, because a life is priceless. I love you guys. I'll see you in the next episode. God bless you. Speak again.